Alright, hey there guys. I want to talk about a couple of spoiler-ish things from The Mummy, which hasn't been getting the best reviews. I personally thought the movie was really good, and I personally enjoyed it very much. And one of the things I enjoyed very much was what I'm going to talk to you guys about right now. Prodigium. So, Russell Crowe in this movie plays Dr. Henry Jekyll and Eddie Hyde. That's what he calls himself in the movie. So I didn't want to tell you that in the spoiler video just because I found out before seeing the movie that there were people who didn't know that he was playing Dr. Jekyll. So I thought I'd keep that out of my review so that just in case, on the off chance that someone was watching it that didn't know that he was Jekyll, I wasn't just going, hey, he's Jekyll and he's cool, and then that person was like, oh, I didn't know he was Jekyll. Thanks for ruining it for me. But anyways, so we're introduced to Prodigium in the movie after the mummy is unleashed and they capture her, and so they take Nick back to the place where he meets Dr. Jekyll, who is kind of the head of the whole thing. And he basically explains what they do there, that they study, capture, and sometimes destroy evil. And in this case, some of that evil pertains to the classic Universal monsters. And you see in there, they got like the skulls of vampires, other cool stuff that's like referencing the older movies and the wider universe. And to me, this was the most interesting part of the movie, was just seeing how this whole little secret group kind of operated. Excuse me. And one of the things about it that I found most interesting was Dr. Jekyll himself. So, when we first see him in the movie, immediately he's got his hand is covered up by a glove, and he takes down the glove and he takes this injection, and then it's like, okay, that's weird. And then he's about to take the injection again, but then he doesn't, because Tom Cruise takes it away, and he turns into Mr. Hyde, and they fight, and it's really funny because you have Dr. Jekyll. He's very, very prestigious and normal and smart. This is my best Russell Crowe impression. But then he turns into Mr. Hyde, and he sounds a little more like kind of like a scumbag boxer Australian. He basically, yeah, that's the best way I can really describe it. So it was kind of cool that they established separate personalities for Jekyll and Hyde. And I would love to see in movies going forward, like they really explain like how the whole thing works, because they don't really explain it very much in the movie. They just explain that he takes the medicine to kind of keep Mr. Hyde under control and keep Dr. Jekyll in control. So, yeah, I would love to see them explain it more later on. And, yeah, I really did thoroughly like his character, though. And then we get into more of the plot stuff. So, Nick was chosen by Amunet to basically become a vessel for the god Set, the Egyptian god Set, to come to life in like a form. And so throughout the whole movie, she is searching for this jewel that goes on the end of her dagger, that basically it got removed from the dagger in the time that she was, mummified. And then it was buried with a couple of Crusader knights, and then she finds it, and basically Nick uses it. He takes the power of Set, but he kind of like keeps control over himself, and he fights Amunet. He kills her, and then he brings forget the name of the girl, but he brings his girlfriend character, the love interest character, back to life. But so in the process of trying to destroy a monster, he becomes a monster because he now has the powers of Set, the Egyptian god of death. And he brings back to life his annoying friend, played by Jake Johnson. I didn't think he was all that annoying in certain scenes. It was just the way he kept popping up as basically a hallucinatory zombie throughout the whole thing that annoyed me. But so it was kind of cool to see them together at the end, like exactly where they were at the beginning you first introduced to them. So that was a really cool way to bring it like kind of full circle and call back to the beginning and kind of set up for a new adventure. And I really hope that this movie does, like, the franchise keeps going on, because I guess this movie isn't doing that well domestically, and so there's a chance we could get another Dracula Untold situation whereas with Dracula Untold, they were planning on making that the start of a shared universe, but that didn't really have very many clues, like, that were like, this is definitely an interweaving, connected universe. This one goes full on with its universe building. You see, Jekyll and Hyde, and the the mummy, and the vampire skull, all these different artifacts in Prodigium. They went all out with this one, so this time it's a little bit worse if this one fails, because this one really was trying to set up for a franchise. Dracula Untold tried to set up a franchise, but not to the point where if the franchise never happened, you could still watch the movie and be like, oh, that's just a good, solid one-off movie. Because I don't actually hate Dracula Untold. I do enjoy it a little bit. I just don't think it's great. So I just really hope this movie does well, because I want to see where this franchise goes, because as far as I know, their plans are still going forward. They still have Bride of Frankenstein coming out in 2019, and that's going to have Javier Bardem as Frankenstein's monster. And they got Johnny Depp cast as the Invisible Man. They got Russell Crowe probably under a multiple film contract to appear as Dr. Jekyll. They probably got Tom Cruise in a multi-film contract to appear as Nick Morton. They probably have all these characters in multi-film deals. I would actually I almost think it'd be kind of cool if they saved Dracula for last, kind of, and they set him up as being like the big villain of this franchise. Like, that would be kind of cool if they had like Mummy, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Wolfman, and then Dracula, and then whatever they're gonna call the big team up movie. But it would be kind of cool if at the end of the Dracula movie, it's like modern day, and he finds out about Prodigium because he's immortal. So he finds out about Prodigium. He goes to London, and then he just freaking, I don't know, destroys it. And then, I don't know, Russell Crowe could be like, "This is the most powerful monster we've encountered. I fear in order to fight this monster, we may need to unite a universe of monsters. And then they get Tom Cruise, they get Javier Bardem, they get Johnny Depp, they get whoever plays the Wolfman, even have Jekyll and Hyde as a member of the team. There are definitely some cool ideas, and I definitely think if they are going to do like an overarching villain of the series, it would definitely be Dracula would be the best one, because he's kind of the most powerful being in the Universal Monster Dark Universe, because he is literally a vampire, and he has powers, he has immortality, and I mean, I guess you could argue that Tom Cruise, is the most powerful being in the Universal Monster Universe. But even then, he's a good guy. And I'm sure they would find some way to either get